You think Dr. Bob was good. He's going to be followed by Dr. Richard Schneider, Rear Admiral, and the 23rd President of Norwich University. The Admiral was commissioned as an ensign in the Coast Guard and served 8 years of active duty, including a tour in Vietnam, and served 30 years of both active and reserve duty. Retiring in 1998 as Rear Admiral, Dr. Schneider military awards include the Coast Guard Distinguished Service Medal, Coast Guard Meritorious Service Medal, Commendation Medal with Gold Star, the Navy Commendation Medal, and numerous campaign decorations for service in Vietnam. He earned a master's degree in liberal studies from Wesleyan University and a doctorate in public policy from the University of Delaware. Dr. Schneider is married to Jamie Gilroy, and he has 4 married daughters. But before he takes the podium, let's watch a wonderful video about Norwich University.
For Norwich, we've always worried about the whole person because in battle and in leadership positions of the United States military, you have to be a whole person. And so we've always concentrated not only making you very smart and making you very strong, making you a great leader, an ethical leader. I think that TM will provide us another whole dimension of integrating all of that, improving my performance in all of those domains. And I haven't found anything else that can do that yet.
Last semester I had a pretty heavy course load, as well as being cadre for a platoon, so having 27 recruits that are under my command and trying to lead them as well as balancing my academics. And I was tired all the time. My muscles were tired, my mind was tired. I was beginning to fall asleep in class, and I started meditating, and I started noticing the difference right away. I became more alert, and when I meditated, my body became more relaxed. I actually feel my muscles being relaxed. My mind was rejuvenated after every time. And that semester I got the highest GPA I've ever got with 23 credits, the biggest course load I've ever taken, with 2 seminar classes. I got 3.47 GPA.
One of the biggest differences I've noticed between my platoon and some of the other platoons is we're more professional and we're more locked on. We're not joking around, they're not breaking their bearing, they're keeping that 1,000-mile stare. Them meditating does make my job a lot easier. I'm not an angry person by nature, don't tell the rooks that, but I don't like yelling at people if I don't have to. But if I can talk to them and get them to do something with just a stern tone, then that's much better for me, and I think it's more effective for them as well. Meditation definitely enhances their ability to essentially comprehend what we're telling them to do. I remember when I was a rook, we were told things 3 or 4 times before we finally got it right. We tell it to them once, maybe twice, and they're getting it right.
We've kind of picked up a bit of a reputation on campus as those weird people that meditate, and I kindly point out to them the fact that we don't fall asleep in class. We've got better PT scores, we do better on tests, we have better uniforms, we don't get yelled at as much as they do, and then they quiet down pretty quickly after that. I would say the biggest benefit is the energy. I mean, in high school I would drink like a whole thermos full of coffee a day, and I don't have to do that anymore. It feels good to not have to rely on things like that and be able to do it myself.
I was a skeptic at first, but now that I've learned, it's great. I mean, I've directly seen the benefits. I'm a senior, and I've never gotten over a 3.0. This semester, I've had 22 credits, 4 lab sciences, and I have a 3.6. I don't think I just got that much smarter. I think the TM helps me focus, and so when I study, I get more benefits out of it.
I'm happy that Norwich is now following them and looking at their grades and their retention and all the objective outcome measures that an organization would care about. So just like the Army would look at, we're happy if you feel better, but we're really happy if you feel better and you don't get in trouble and you perform better and you are retained longer.
As a leader, you have to be alert, plain and simple. You need to know what's going on with your men. I believe that being introduced to the TM program as a future leader, you will become more alert and you will be able to pick things up more easily. You'll be able to handle with the stress of leadership.
The one thing I notice about the platoon that's practicing meditation is how the cadet leaders and the rooks are handling stress. This appears to be an effective tool for our cadets to help them handle the stressful military school environment where they are really striving for excellence academically, militarily, and in a lot of cases physically.
The things that really stick out with the platoon that are meditating is they really make it. They are all on board with making this a priority because I believe they see their own results.
If it's well documented and it's a good thing, then why not improve our soldiers' welfare?
I've noticed I've become more patient, especially in my position in the Corps.
It's been an incredible experience. I didn't think I would be doing this in college.
I know that if I wasn't doing TM, I would be falling asleep in every single class.
There's a significant difference in not only my stress level, but my general mood.
I love it. It's amazing. It feels great. I definitely want that to carry with me into the military.
ROTC commissions 70% of all the officers of the United States. Could you imagine if, by this experiment at Norwich University, the birthplace of ROTC, if we provide a very important tool in these young officers' toolbox that they've never had the benefit of before, we can influence 70% of the officer corps in a very short period of time. And we owe it to them to give them the best tools to win. And I think this is one of these tools.
Hi, everybody. If you don't think your kid's falling asleep in class, you have a big mistake. You don't understand what college life is really like. I am so glad you're here. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the prevention side, because I'm in the business of producing future leaders for America, as well as civilian leaders. And they have many stresses in their lives as well. But about 4 years ago, Joan Andrews called, and Bobby introduced her, the wonderful daughter of one of my trustee Emeritus men. And she said, Rich, you need to look at this, what the David Lynch Foundation is doing for veterans that are post-traumatic stressed. And I said, Joan, what's that? And she said, well, Transcendental Meditation. Now, I'm a guy from the 60s. I went right into hyperspace. I didn't on the phone because I didn't want to upset Joan. But I know the Beatles. My college kids don't know who the Beatles are. Okay? And I could think of marijuana, and I went to the United States Coast Guard Academy, and as a future federal law enforcement officer, that's the last thing I wanted anything to do with. But I started reading about it. Then she told me about the work that they were doing for high school students in very high-risk high schools. And some of them that you would feel very threatened to walk into, these kids are going to school in every day. And how practicing TM was improving their grades and also making better deportment in the school. So all of a sudden, two things that I'm always very worried about: retention of my students, my college students, and their grades, so they can make sure they hold on to their ROTC scholarships so they can eventually get commissioned. So I started learning more about it. Now, you always have to lead from the front, everybody, right? So I'm not going to let the students do this without me doing it first. And so I got a couple volunteer faculty members and staff members, 12 of us got together. Bob Roth flew up and taught us TM for the week. And it was just as simple as he said. It was effortless. And I got to tell you, I think I became a better college president. There's a little stress in my life as a college president. Now, it really made a difference. So I said, okay. So we got a whole bunch of upperclassmen together, sophomores and juniors. And we said, okay, we're going to do this experiment. Who would like to participate? We had more volunteers than you can believe because, you see, they weren't kids of the 60s. They weren't predisposed to think negatively about TM. They were just open to getting better grades and enhancing their performance. So we trained them. So we had some upperclassmen, and we wrote to all the inbound freshmen, we call them rooks, that means recruit, rooks at Norwich. And we wrote to their parents and said, we're going to do this grand experiment. If you'd like your student to be trained in TM, let us know. We were overwhelmed. We had over 60 write us right away, and we normally bring in about 600 rooks a year. So we broke that 60 into 2 platoons. One platoon got the training right away. You saw some of their pictures up there. And the other platoon, we promised them at the end of the academic year, freshman year, we will train you. Gang, within 3 weeks, we had almost an open rebellion of the gang who didn't get trained. They said, General Schneider, we want to be trained right now. I said, no, we can't do that. It's going to screw up the experiment because we have to have a control group, and you're the control group. But I promise you we'll get to you. Yeah, but they said, but I'm not staying awake in class, and I'm not doing as well as the other rooks in the other platoon. I said, too bad. Suck it up. You know, you signed up, you might as well get used to it. All right, but we promised that we kept our promise to them, and they got trained at the end of the first year. We're doing that experiment again, and we're very, very pleased with the results. My future vision is, if this works, and by the way, this is hypothesis right now. I can't give you any proof. We know that the David Lynch Foundation can make a difference for for veterans who have been injured, and I think we should change the name of post-traumatic stress disorder to injury, personally. That's a personal plug, because they are injured. It's terrible. It is really terrible. And I care about every one of them. I don't want to lose a one of them. But the fact of the matter is we are in record numbers, and we shouldn't be. So we know we can fix them at the end. Why don't we give them the tool before they go in the fight? I want this along with all their other stuff, with their engineering and their nursing and their mathematics, making them really smart, physically strong, courageous, and now emotionally prepared. I think they're still going to get hurt coming out the other end. I don't think they're going to get hurt as much. I think they're also going to be more resilient. They're going to get back in the fight sooner because they all want to go back to their units. For those of you that ever served in the United States military, you know, even if you're hurt, where's the first place you want to go? Back. Because it's all about my buddies. Okay, and that's what they want to do. So why not give it to them before they go in the fight? Just like I give them all the other great things of being a commissioned officer, to lead our sons and daughters. Wouldn't you want a leader that wasn't as stressed out, leading your kid into battle? I would. And I got 15 grandkids. And I want every one of them led by an officer that could control his own stress and be situationally aware and improve that officer's performance, his performance, to lead my son or daughter or my grandkids.